In this video, I'm going to be talking about 5 of the best French artists in France at the moment that you should definitely check out if you're planning on visiting France or you're learning French or interested in French culture in general. I'm going to be giving you a little bit of information about each of their backgrounds, what type of music they do, what their style is, and recommending you my favourite song of theirs, the song that I think is the best. So keep on watching if all of that interests you. Okay, so the first artist I want to talk about is a French singer called Angèle, and she is really popular in France at the moment. So she was born in Belgium and she was discovered through recording her music on Instagram and on YouTube. She released her first album in 2018, which is called Bonjour, and then she released a couple of singles from that did really well in France and charted really highly. She's very much got that pop star factor, and her music is really catchy and really memorable. But what I love about her music is how she balances the soft vocals events. What is wrong with me? The soft vocals against a really clean melody, which really adds another dimension to her music. Her music really feels like she's telling a story, which is what makes it so alluring. So probably the best and most well-known and my favourite song of hers is called Balance ton quoi. And it actually stemmed from a social movement that they had in France called the hashtag Balance ton porc movement, which was a movement that was fairly similar to the hashtag Me Too movement that happened across America. And it's basically, it involves the same kind of things, standing up for yourself in the workplace or in the street against harassment, usually women, but not exclusively women. And so the French name of the movement roughly translates to throw away your pig, with pork being your pig and balance means throwing it away. So the pig is supposed to represent the person that is doing you wrong and you are standing up for yourself, you're throwing them away. So what Angèle did is she played with that title, switched it up, and then changed it to Balance ton quoi, which essentially means throw away your what, throw away your whatever, stand up for whatever you believe in, and defend yourselves basically. But the message of the song itself is offset against this very nursery rhyme-esque playful melody, which is what makes it a bit more accessible and makes it really intriguing and original. So she's an artist that's very socially and currently aware, with these very soft and eccentric vocals, which makes her really interesting to listen to, so I definitely recommend checking her out. Okay, the next artist I'm going to talk about is an artist called Lolo Zouaï, if I've pronounced that correctly. So she's actually American, but she sings half in French and half in English. And I actually discovered her when I was listening to a French radio station. And I really like the way that she mixed up the languages in her music. And I think that it's a really original concept. So she started recording in Paris and her debut album was released in 2019 and is called From High Highs to Low Lows, which is a pun on her name, with her second name being Lolo. And she's also going to be the supporting act for Dua Lipa on her upcoming world tour, so by the time she starts touring with her and doing lots of shows, you will have definitely heard of her and she will definitely blow up. So her style, I would say, is kind of R&B, but it's very melancholic and very moody. But her sound is also very recognisable to her, and I think that's what makes an artist stand out these days. And what I love about her music is, like I said, she has these little stylish interjections of French within her music, which really adds a new facet and allows her to express emotions with a different outlet, which I feel like is really important because there are so many feelings that have already been sung about already or talked about already, and it's just a new way to get these across to the listener. And often the French lyrics become the drop or the chorus, so it makes it really easy to memorize them and pick up the language. And she often parallels what she's saying in French with the translation in English or vice versa. So she structures her music in this way whereby she guides you through it so that you can understand it as well as enjoy it. So one of my favorite songs of hers is called Moi, which is from her latest album. And what I love about this song is how she plays with each language. And like I said, makes references to things in both languages, which just makes it super accessible and easy to listen to. And also one of my favourite lyrics is "hit him with the bilingual," which is just super sassy and cool. And it's true, being able to sing in 2 languages is such an asset these days and makes you really original and interesting. So if you're looking for a way to ease yourself into French music without diving straight into listening to it completely in another language, I definitely recommend her. Her music is manageable and also really stylish and fun to listen to, so I definitely recommend checking her out. Okay, so the next one that we have is a singer and a rapper called Ayya Nakamura. Again, I'm not entirely sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So she's Malian born and she immigrated to France when she was growing up with her family. And then she found her platform online. She was releasing again on Facebook and on YouTube and collaborating with different producers and composers. So she really had this online presence beforehand. She released her first album in 2015, which was called Journal Intime. So like a private journal, which I really like the idea of and think is quite original. And then in 2018, she released another album under her own name. And in January 2019, she won the album for the Best Urban Album in the European Music Moves Talent Awards, as well as a few other awards. So she was really catapulted into success with this last album. So in terms of her style, Apple Music has described her latest album to be composed of Afro beats and melancholic R&B, which I think is quite an accurate description of her sound. And the fact that it's sung in French obviously gives it a real drive and articulation that gives the music a real rhythm. So she often writes about independence, breakups, female empowerment, so there's this certain attitude in her music that is really relatable and that is super powerful. So one of her best well-known songs and one of my personal favourites is called Copine, which is from her latest album and it went to #1 in France. It is such a bouncy song with that French sass. It just makes it so appealing and it's also something that you can dance to. So I would definitely check out this song if you're wanting to introduce yourself to her. So next we have Dadju, or Prince Dadju as he is more often known. And again, if I'm pronouncing these wrong, I do apologise. So he is a French rapper and singer who was born in France, and he was actually previously part of a duo called Shin Sekai, which was around from 2012 to 2016, and I know a lot of French people know him primarily from that before he then went solo later on. And the name of the duo that he was in is Japanese and it means New World, and it was taken from the manga series One Piece, so that's a little fun fact to add in there. So then in 2017, Dachu and his partner went separate ways to follow their own musical careers, and he then went on to release his first solo album called Gentleman 2.0 in 2017. And what I love about this album is how personal and intimate it is. So the introduction track to the album talks about him going solo and then how he has a relationship and gets married and has a child and everything that he's gone through up to this point and that he is going through. And it feels very raw and honest. And the French itself, particularly in this track, is pretty straightforward and easy to understand, so it really aids you to relate to what you're hearing. So in terms of his style, I would definitely say that he does use a lot of auto-tune, but a lot of French rappers and singers are tending to use a lot of autotune these days. But what I like about this is that they do it in a way that's obvious, so that you are aware and you know that they're using the autotune, whereas sometimes with other artists you can kind of hear that they're using it, but you're probably supposed to believe that it's their own vocals. So they're not hiding anything and they actually kind of use it to stylize their sound. And I actually tend to find that if you're not someone that usually listens to rap or that style of music, it kind of allows you to interpret the rap in a bit more of a musical sense, if that makes sense. Just because the rap has a bit more of a musical melody to it and it's easier to remember it and sing along to it. And I definitely feel like Dadju is king of this and does this really well. So I'd say his best song has got to be the song called Compliqué, which comes from his album called Poison, which comes from his album called Poison ou Antidote. And that's not Poison the fish, I'm just saying it a little bit weird. which again I think is a really cool title name. I love this song again because it is so melodic and you can really dance to it and sing to it, but it also has that freshness and originality to it, which is what makes it so refreshing to hear it. Okay, so moving on to the last artist that I'm going to talk to you about. She is called Vita, and probably a lot of people will know her in France for her recent collaborations with another French singer called Slimane. And she's also collaborated with Dadju, who I just talked about. So she was born in France in 1983, so she's been doing music a little bit longer than the others, but you can definitely hear that experience in her voice when she sings. In 2017, she'd been doing music for 10 years, and this was when she started leaning more towards pop. And she also collaborated with Stromae, who is really well known in and outside of France. And then, like I said, she did some other collaborations with a French artist called Slimane, which is when she had a real big impact on the French pop community. Her style is very polished and clean, and the vocals feel very timeless and classic, and you instantly recognise it's her when you hear her. Her turning to pop allowed her music to have quite a rhythmic presence, but also the ballads she's done feel very original and very powerful. So my favourite song of hers is one of the recent collaborations that she did with Slimane, which is called Je te donne, which was from the re-release of her 5th album called J4M. And I love how well these two artists work together. Even though their sounds are quite different, they blend together just so effortlessly. You have Slimane's lower kind of honey voice beneath, and then the sharp and clear vocals of Vita on top. And it's something that I feel that maybe other cultures, particularly American, English artists, don't do as much, these types of collaborations where you're taking two people with musically kind of different styles and sounds and putting them together. But I think the risk really pays off and works and creates something really quite interesting to the ear. That's why I really like this collaboration and her in general. Okay guys, so we've reached the end of the video. Those are the 5 French artists I recommend checking out if you're interested in French or going to France. You will definitely hear them once you get here. I have linked some of their links to their music in the description box below if you want to check them out. And you can leave me a comment down below if you like these artists or you have any other recommendations for everybody. So that's it from me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe for more Francophone content. And I will see you in the next video. À bientôt les amis! It was also... That's going to be a pain to edit. Bonjour, tout le monde.